Hey everyone, welcome back. We are once again going to avoid the Fossil Cup. That meta is something that I want to avoid at all costs, so we are playing the Master League with this awesome Palkia team. This is basically my go-to Master League team anytime that I want a team that I know is just going to work. It is a team with Palkia, Necrozma, and Landorus. Palkia is a very strong lead, a dragon type with a lot of fast move pressure and very spammy, also has the nuke of Spatial Rend if you get to it. And then our Landorus is basically just a Master League version of Quagsire, a lot of ground type damage, very flexible Pokemon. And then we also have the Necrozma, a great closer, especially with Sunsteel Strike, one of the best new additions to the game. Let's take a look at the battles and see what this team can do. Alright, jumping on into game number 1 here, let's see what we can get up to against one of the most annoying Pokemon in the Master League. This is a Zygarde, one of the bulkiest Pokemon out there. We obviously have a lot of super effective damage, but they have super effective damage against us as well. This is always kind of a bait game. Do I go for the Aqua Tail? Do I go for the Spatial Rend? They are obviously going to try to go for Crunches likely against me, but they actually built up to 7. I shield just in case it's an Outrage, which it actually is this time. That's fantastic that we got that shield off. We're going to go for the big move ourselves. We want to draw a shield if we can against this, get it chipped down as much as possible, and they just let their Zygarde go. Probably the best case scenario there. We wanted to take that thing out at all costs. We see the Necrozma Dawnwings come in, go for the Spatial Rend, try to get our shield back, and then probably swap out, because I don't want to give this thing a full farm down. We saw yesterday just how deadly a Necrozma can be up energy, so not giving that thing a huge farm down I think is going to be good for us. They get to a move here. Dark Pulse would basically knock us out at this point. These Shadow Claws are adding up quite a bit. Oh, they go for a Moongeist Beam. That's crazy. That is so much damage that we were able to shield there, and in comes their Landorus as their final Pokemon. We obviously have our own Landorus in the back, but this matchup right here is not the best matchup to be in as a Necrozma. We did get a bit of Shadow Claw damage, which is kind of nice, but we have to keep in mind this Landorus is outside of Stone Edge range here. It's going to be a little bit awkward if we're going to try to go for a Stone Edge and try to take them out here. There is a little bit of a chance, though, we can go for a Stone Edge and then a Sandsear Storm to knock them out. Mudshot's obviously not doing a lot of damage, but they're doing a little bit here. It's adding up over time, and we do land that move. We might need to make a catch, we might not. I don't quite have the energy counts here of this Landorus. We'll have to see what we need to do to win this game. Stone Edge does not knock us out. If we can reach the Sandsear Storm before they can get to a move, I know that we can probably win this game, but we just barely can't. It would be a CMP, so instead, we go for the catch. We catch a Stone Edge on our Palkia, and we can win game number 1 by going for the Stone Edge or the Sandsear Storm. I guess at this point is going to be more than enough. Have energy for the backline, and hopefully Landorus is going to be able to sweep this game. Sandsear Storm knocks out the Flying type. We have another move for the Necrozma as well, so that perfect energy management was absolutely necessary here to win this game. GG's to our opponent in game number 1, a very close match. I don't like fighting Zygardes, but I'm always happy when I can beat them. That's always a little bit satisfying in the Master League. In game number 2, we're going to see the Palkia Mirror. This is probably one of the worst matchups. Honestly, it's not like a terrible matchup or anything. It's just really awkward for me specifically. My best buddy is on Landorus. Their best buddy is on Palkia, which means they always win CMP. I'm going to go for the catch, try to catch a Spatial Rend here. If we did make a nice catch, that's going to be a lot of energy wasted for them, and it looks like they did actually go for it there, which is really nice to see. Out comes the Landorus, which is a little bit troublesome to see on our Steel-type Pokemon. It obviously can outpace us, go for these debuffs, but I know I can start stripping shields, and I have energy on my Palkia to go against this thing, and my own Landorus in the back. Once this is gone, once that Palkia is also gone, should have a decent amount of play. There's a chance they have their own Steel type in the backline, or maybe something else like a double flyer lineup with like a Ho-Oh. If that is the case, getting shields down will be critical for our Landorus in the backline. They go for another Sandsear Storm here. I can shield this up if I want to go and get shields down, which it looks like we do this game. I want to make sure that I get all the shields down as possible. As I was saying, if I can nuke something in the back with a Stone Edge, or to start Sandsear Storm spamming, I think that's going to be a good spot to be in. We're going to go for the Aqua Tail Snipe at this point, because they did no-shield that bait, unfortunately for us here. This does go no-shielded, and what are they going to come in with now? They come in with their final Pokemon. Okay, a Fairy type also makes sense. I actually used to run this team myself, at least a very similar team. I used to run Quick Attack Zacian, actually, so this is a little bit different, but Snarl has a lot more play, I think, in this Necrozma meta, so that does make a little bit of sense. Back in comes their Palkia. It's not going to be able to survive this move at this point, at least not super easily if they're going to want to no-shield it, which they do no-shield, but they get a farm down, but we still have our Necrozma alive. We still have our Landorus as well, which can go for a full Mudshot down because they had no energy after I made that nice catch at the start of the game. They're going to go for a move here. Snarl is not a fast move pressure move, so I'm not too worried about the fast move damage, but they are charging up energy a little bit quicker, which means that I'm going to have to try to make a catch here, I think, if I want to win this game. We're going to go for a Sandsear Storm. It's going to draw a shield. If we can get to another one, we're going to be in a good spot, and we're going to try to go for another move. Okay, we don't have to make a catch. That's actually really nice to see. I didn't quite have their energy counts here either on this Zacian, but luckily we do end up catching right here, making it so we can catch either a Play Rough on this, or if they're going to debuff their defense stat, we're going to be in a good spot either way. They actually go for the Wild Charge. They're going to lower their own defense stat. We can Mudshot them down and take the game there. GG's to our opponent. Very close matchup. Alright, next game, Palkia in the lead against Dialga, its arch rival. This is probably one of the other worst matchups you can be in. I hate the mirror, but I hate this matchup even more. And in comes the Kyogre. This game is not looking great so far, although Landorus is kind of crazy. Sometimes you can actually make something happen in this matchup. If you can land 3 Sandsear Storms, you can knock them out, but they were kind of quick on the swap here, and they also had a bit of fast move pressure with their Dialga, so that is a little bit uncomfortable. With that said, they throw energy here. I'm totally fine with this. Our Palkia can get such a big farm down. I think at this point, after that debuff, even if they happen to get to a big move like a Blizzard or a Thunder, I'm kind of fine taking it here, and they might not even get to that, because honestly, Kyogre is such a slow-charging Pokemon, I don't think they can get to a move if they're going to try to go for a Blizzard. It might be a Thunder at most, but no, that is a Surf. That is fantastic to see. We get a full Dragon Breath down. We have 1.5 Spatial Vents already loaded, thanks to that massive farm down here. Are they going to shield this move? They end up shielding it. We have a shield advantage Necrozma. I think at this point, we're in a decent spot to maybe win this game. They might have their own Necrozma in the backline. They might have something like a Fairy type as well. It's kind of hard to guess at this point what they might be, but they are a little bit scared of Necrozma, so they are going to try to throw a move here, probably an Iron Head, but I don't want to no-shield at this point. I feel like I need a little bit of health here on my Necrozma to win this game. It is going to come down to what their final Pokemon is going to be. Dark Pulse goes no shielded there. That's honestly really nice to see. Now it's going to be in Dragon Breath downrange for a Palkia if they happen to save their Dialga here, which is really nice, but they end up letting it go too. Okay, and then a Necrozma comes in. Look at these Shadow Claws absolutely shredding through this thing's health. We still have energy on our own Palkia. I know this will have to draw a shield here. I can swap out as soon as I possibly can and go for a move with Palkia, Dragon Breath it down, and take the game against this Necrozma. GG's to them. A very lucky backline for us that our Necrozma core broke theirs. Alright, next game against an Avalugg. This is actually a very neutral lead matchup here. This thing has Icy Wind pressure if they want to try to debuff our attack stat, but they always try to seem to go for the sneak as well, which means I get this move off first. If they wanted to throw instantly after 6 Icy Winds, they could have actually debuffed us first, but if they're going to shield anyway, they might as well fish for the sneak if I try to throw on bad timing. They go for the Icy Wind here. It's not going to knock us out. It's not going to do that much damage. Avalugg is a tank, so I know for sure I can survive 2 of those moves pretty easily, get to 2 Aqua Tails, and even though this is debuffed, it is super effective. It is a freaking Palkia throwing this move. It's still going to hit it like a truck, and at this point, once this Avalugg is out of the way, I think my Landorus is going to be in a much better spot. I also know that this thing has ice and rock type damage. Oh, they go for the rock slide there. Okay, that means that we know their full moveset at this point, and our Necrozma can absorb it all. It's not going to be that bad to take a move, and I know if I come out of this with energy, there is still a great chance that I have play into the backline. We get the full farm down. What are they going to bring in here to counter us? It's actually a Dialga, which is not a hard answer to us, and in comes the Kyogre. Alright, another Kyogre here. Kind of a crazy thing to see in this meta with a lot of dragons, but at this point, I know I have shield advantage. I have a little bit of energy here, and as long as I can take down that last shield, it's not like Dialga's actually that strong into Necrozma. The main reason I swapped out was to clear that Icy Wind debuff. We're going to shield up the Surf, try to get another move off here. If I can land the Stone Edge, I basically knock them out, so they might try to shield this. I'm also going to go for the potential bait here. I want to get a farm down if I can against this. They do shield up that move because I baited the Stone Edge. Can I get to another Sandsear just barely at the last second? I can. This won't knock them out, but it'll put them in very easy Shadow Claw farm down range, and they are going to be triple debuffed. If they throw a move against my Necrozma, I can no-shield it. It's going to do way less than like a Draco Meteor or a Thunder would have done, so I know at this point, going for the fast move down here, going for double Dark Pulse against their Dialga once it comes back in will be the way to win this game. I don't think 2 Dark Pulses are quite enough to knock them out from full health, but after these Shadow Claws, it should be more than enough to secure us the match. We go for the next Dark Pulse now. They don't have a move just yet. Their Kyogre is energy dry. They need to have 2 moves to win this game, but they're not going to be able to get there in time. They can get to a move at the last second, just shield up this attack, and now I know Shadow Claws are all I need to win this game. Shadow Claw down the Dialga, Shadow Claw down the Kyogre, and we can sweep the backline once again with our Necrozma putting in so much work. GG's to our opponent. Our next game is going to be a Palkia in the lead against a Melmetal, a very rare Pokemon to see, but our backline is actually so much stronger against this than the lead. I don't really like staying in here because I know this is probably the matchup they want to be in. I'm going to try to catch a move on my Landorus. It might be a superpower, it might be something else, but they end up overfarming, so obviously this is not going to be a catch on a superpower. What move are they going to throw against us? Double Iron Bash. Okay, that is a move I completely forgot about. They actually have access to Steel type damage now that they got their signature move on that Melmetal, but that is not a strong move. It's basically just Dragon Claw, so a very weak attack, but a very cheap attack at that, so it didn't do much damage to us, but they have a lot of energy left over. We went straight for the Stone Edge, which is fantastic for us. It means that since they no-shielded that, the Sandsteer Storm is going to potentially knock them out if they let it through, but they do have to shield this attack up, but they get a nice farm down against us. I know they're at 2 Dragon Claws, but there's a chance that 2 Dragon Breaths here knock them out. If I get 1 Dragon Breath here, and then another one right before they can throw their next Dragon Claw, I think I can take out this Dragonite before they can get all of their energy off. We just barely Dragon Breath them down, and back comes that Melmetal. I make another catch here on our Necrozma. It is not going to be a great catch, though, because I think at this point it probably will be a superpower. Yeah, it is, but they throw back-to-back. All of their energy is going to be wasted against our Necrozma. What could they possibly have from the backline that is weaker to this Necrozma than that Melmetal? Turns out it's a Palkia, not exactly something that would say would be weak to our Necrozma, but it is a little bit tricky to deal with a double dragon lineup here this game. What we do have, though, is access to Dark Pulse. We're going to throw one. We're going to try to throw the next one here very soon. We do get it on the 1 HP, but I don't think that really matters. We have so much energy left over on our Palkia. I can probably Spatial Rend this anyway and still win the game. They do Dragon Breath us down. We have the Spatial Rend loaded. I'm going to shield up theirs, and at this point, that Melmetal will use all of its energy against our Necrozma. I can probably get to 2 Aqua Tails and knock them out pretty easily before they can knock out our Palkia. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm also outside of superpower range, so even if they happen to get to 2 moves, they'd have to bait us with a double Iron Bash. Our Palkia is just going to be able to get to these 2 moves. There's not much they can do, so we're going to get to the first Aqua Tail here. We have the second loaded. I think that was on CMP. Luckily, Palkia is a very attack-weighted Pokemon. Melmetal is a little bit more bulky than most Pokemon in the Master League, so they do tank that, but we have the second one. Shield up the first move. Probably going to be a bait, but it's totally fine. I don't want to take any risks and no shield is superpower and maybe somehow get knocked out. We have the second Aqua Tail loaded now. We're going to throw it at this Melmetal and take out one of the rarest Pokemon to see in the Master League. GG to our opponent there. And in the next game, we're going to have a game against a Necrozma in the lead. Alright, so you might expect the Steel type to have a very strong matchup against our Palkia, but you have to keep in mind here, this thing doesn't have super effective damage unless they're running Outrage. So while they are resisting our Dragon Breaths, it is still doing a lot of fast move pressure because Dragon Breath is a very damaging move, and these Aqua Tails can two-shot them. I can shield up an Outrage potentially. It's kind of a 50-50 call. Do they have it? Do they not? I am going to shield it up. I'm going to try to respect it this time, but it is just a Dark Pulse here. Now I know I can probably no-shield the next and be in a pretty safe spot. We get to the Aqua Tail here, and I know this will knock them out. Will they let their Necrozma go? They don't. They want to get a little bit more use out of it. They definitely had almost a Dark Pulse loaded, so it makes sense they want to keep a little bit of energy, but I know I survived this attack, and I know I can get off another attack against this Necrozma. Taking this out would be a very nice thing to see. A bit of a frame drop there made it, so I had to throw this Aqua Tail, or else I would just kind of lose my Palkia to fast moves. I wish I could have just banked that Aqua Tail, honestly. It would have been a much nicer situation to be in, but we did get a bit of chip damage there. What that means is now it's going to be a little bit easier to knock out this Palkia. Maybe I can go for some Dark Pulses here to knock it out at this point. I'm not quite sure, though. An Aqua Tail is going to be able to two-shot me. We just played out this matchup in our favor, but now they are on the other side of this matchup. I'm going to go for the Sunsteel Strike. I feel like they're going to no-shield this move, but they end up shielding it. I think a Dark Pulse just barely wouldn't have knocked out, so I'm very surprised that they went for the shield there. Very unfortunate that I wasted a lot of energy against that Palkia, but I guess we'll have to hope that in the backline, we're going to have some play with Landorus. It's going to be unlikely, though. We already saw a Landorus weakness in the lead. There's a chance there's something like a Kyogre in the back, or maybe just anything in the back that could be good against our Landorus. What is their final Pokemon? Alright, well, that's not necessarily amazing into Landorus, but I think up the energy lead that they have here, they're actually going to be able to get to 2 moves before we can. I can land the Stone Edge, but it's not going to be enough at this point because they are going to be able to survive it. I'm not going to be able to get to the next Sandsear Storm, and I also know they have a catch loaded at this moment. If they go for the catch, there's not much I can do. If they don't go for the catch, I can't win this game either. If they go for the catch, and yeah, I mean, how am I going to knock out that Dragonite at this point? I have Mudshot, Fast Move Pressure, and I know they have a Superpower loaded for my Necrozma in the backline. Fantastic catch by them. I don't think there's much I can do now. Superpower is going to easily knock out our Necrozma, and we're just barely not going to be able to knock it out. GG to our opponent. They played that very well. Wish I would have not had to throw that Aqua Tail into the Palkia there in the lead, but sometimes frame drops kind of mess up what you want to do. Alright, next game, Palkia into Palkia. I've been talking about how I hate this matchup. We'll see how I played out this time. I think I basically every single time I played out this matchup today, I played it out wrong. Let's see if you go for the CMP. I actually go for the overfarm here. One play you can make in this matchup is if you overfarm, if you don't throw a move and your opponent does, you can shield once and farm them all the way down, which is very helpful in certain situations here. They come in with a Necrozma. I don't want to give them that farm down, and I know my Aqua Tails wouldn't do that much damage to them, so I come in with my own Necrozma. I know I can survive one move, and I know they're going to be inclined to shield if they happen to stay in this matchup, so I'm just going to let this go, see what they're going to do, and see how we can win this game. I go for the Sunsteel Strike just in case they make a catch. They're going to shield this move no matter what, so I think at this point it's fine to do that, but they actually end up letting it go. That could be catastrophic for me because a Dark Pulse would have done a little bit more damage, I'm pretty sure. A little bit of a misplay by me there, but we still have 2 Aqua Tails loaded on our Palkia. Hopefully it's not going to matter. We'll have to see at this point. They do have an energy lead on their Landorus. I didn't see if they're Best Buddy. I am using the Best Buddy Landorus. Let's see. They are lower CP than me, so no, they are not Best Buddy. We will always win the CMP rather in this matchup and hopefully be able to win this game still. If I go for the proper baits and the proper nukes, there is still a good chance we can win this game. I at this point did land that Stone Edge. It's going to put us in a better spot, but they still have 2 shields left over. They can probably shield up this attack. They're not in range of getting fast move down here. This is still going to be very hard to win. Stone Edge is going to do a lot of damage against us here, basically going to knock us out at this point. Well, not knock us out, but put us into two-shot range, and I am in a very bad spot. I kind of have to throw energy against this. I know Necrozma has a little bit of energy, but I also know I have 2 moves on my Palkia. As long as I can survive a single mud shot with my Palkia, I can still win this game. Can I? Am I in 1 mud shot range? I have no clue at this point. Let's see what is going to happen. We throw the first Aqua Tail. We are so low. I think that next mud shot might just knock us out here, unfortunately, and if it does, we're going to lose with the Aqua Tail loaded, just barely taking the loss on that game. GG to them, they played that fantastically. All right, next game, Palkia into xerneas in the lead. A very bad lead to see, but we have 2 answers to it in the backline. Just swap to my Landers as soon as I can and try to draw out a bad matchup. In comes a Palkia, but you have to keep in mind, this is a Dragon Tail Palkia. Probably one of the first Dragon Tail Palkias I've seen in Master League just in general. I'm not quite sure why to run Dragon Tail. Maybe there's some matchups that get flipped, but I've seen 99% of people running Dragon Breath. I run Dragon Breath, so I think at this point we're in a good matchup as long as we throw in proper timing against this move. We can see that they're not running the Best Buddy Palkia, and since I am running the Best Buddy Landorus, I actually do 1 extra damage with my mud shots every turn, so that is fantastic to see. These Sandsear Storms, these mud shots are adding up quite a bit more, and since I have this energy lead, there's a chance I could outpace them, but I also know I can probably just get a nice farm down against this, hopefully leverage energy with my Palkia against their xerneas, and still be in a good spot here. They don't get to a move. This is amazing news for us, because now we have energy on our Palkia. We can swap into our Necrozma as well, and hopefully start leveraging some sort of advantage here to win this game. What move are they going to throw? It's probably going to be a close combat. I have seen some run Thunder, I guess, for Ho-Oh coverage, but luckily, no, that is just a close combat there. I survived 1. They're going to have to throw another if they want to try to knock us out here, and I'm thinking at this point, their final Pokemon probably is going to be like a Dialga, right? That is not a Dialga. That is a Nihilego, one of the craziest Pokemon to see here. Something that is going to get one-shot if they let this through, which they do. They realize that their Nihilego is just dead weight this game. We get the complete one-shot on them. That is crazy. We throw the Sunsteel Strike, but I know at this point I'm still going to have to make a catch if I want to win this game. They can close combat me here, and then they can go for the Moonblast against our Palkia, and we could be in a very bad spot. We're going to catch right when they're at the double moves. We catch, I think this is going to be a close combat. If it's a Moonblast, that is well played by them, but no, they throw the close combat. We have the Aqua Tail, and after that defense drop, I'm almost certain this Aqua Tail is going to knock out this xerneas. It goes through, knocks out the deer, and we can take the win on a very bad situation. Nihilego in the back, not putting in too much work. Luckily, we don't have a fairy type, which I think is like the main thing that it's targeting. All right, another Palkia into Palkia matchup. Let's see what we can do. Obviously, they are best buddied. We are not. I can try to shield and farm them down. I can try to CMP. I can try to catch. I try to catch this time, but they don't fall for it. They go for their Landorus, and this is a very tricky spot to be in. I can survive 1 move from this Landorus, at least when I'm at this much health. They can probably get a mud shot down if they start shielding and trying to farm me down, but I know at this point I'm not quite in range of that yet. They probably would have to throw another move if they want to knock us out before we get to 2. We throw the Dark Pulse as a bait. They do shield it up. Landorus is a very squishy Pokemon, so they kind of do have to shield those moves, unfortunately for them. I can shield this if I want to get both shields down, and since I do have energy left over on my Palkia, I'm pretty sure that would be a good play. I'm going to go for the Sunsteel Strike. Even though I'm double debuffed, this is going to do so much damage if it goes through. What are they going to do? They let it go, and we get the Simul KO. That is honestly fine by me. I took out a Landorus with my Steel type, so I'm very happy to see that. What are we going to come in with? I think Palkia at this point probably is the play. Try to come in Palkia, maybe, oh man, they throw right on CMP. I think that was a CMP that I also tapped on. That is honestly terrible for us at this point. Hopefully they shield this move. If they do, maybe there's still a chance to win this game. If they no shield this, I don't know what we could beat in the back. They do shield it up, so they must be weak to our Palkia. That might mean there's like a fire type in the back. We get the knockout, and in comes the Ho-Oh. Fantastic to see. We can one-shot this with a Stone Edge. Stone Edge actually does 102% to a Ho-Oh here, so I know this is a guaranteed knockout. It's just going to one-shot this thing. We can take the win out of nowhere that game. GG's to our opponent. That is always so fun to see. All right, our next game, Palkia lead into a Kyogre. This is the dream scenario. It does not get much better than this. Hopefully we can keep switch advantage though this game. If we can't, then it might be a little bit awkward. In comes the Necrozma. We have our Landorus for this. One of the best answers to Necrozma. I can go for this Sandsear Storm, try to get the knockout, but obviously they do survive it if they want a no shield, and they can probably take a shield from me with a Sunsteel Strike. They built up a lot of energy here. There is a high chance this is just going to be a nuke. I'm going to shield it up just in case they go for the big move, and now I can overfarm and try to get as much energy as I can against that Kyogre when it comes back in. I know this is just a Dark Pulse, non-stab. It is debuffed. It's not going to knock me out, and I can get some energy off against that Kyogre when it comes back in. I also know, though, that I don't really want to start debuffing that Kyogre too much. I want to get 2 moves off if I can. I think I survive 2 waterfalls, and I can get off to 2 Stone Edges. If I can survive this next waterfall, we will get the next move off. If not, then I should have just thrown a Sandsear first. Ugh. Okay, well, a bit of a mistake by me. I thought I could survive 2 fast attacks there, just barely not. And in comes their final Pokemon. Okay, well, this is a very awkward situation now. I'm shield disadvantaged Necrozma against a Dialga. If I would have got 2 moves off against that Kyogre, then I would have at least stripped it down a little bit more, made it a little bit less uncomfortable to deal with in the backline. But we're going to be in a tricky spot with this Dialga putting in so much work. I know, though, at this point, they're going to have to Roar of Time us to knock us out. Are they going to go for it? No, they do bait us, so a good bait by them. I have the access to Dark Pulse here, which is a very spammy attack, but I think at this point, Necrozma is only going to be able to do so much down shield against this Dialga, but can we chip it down into a range where a Palkia can still deal with it? That is going to be the big question here. Is this a Roar of Time? Roar of Time would knock us out. Iron Head just barely wouldn't. If it is an Iron Head, I'd be very happy, but no, they go for it there. Unfortunate situation to be in, but we have a lot of energy here on Palkia, and I think at this point I could farm them down. I know that they might get to an Iron Head. They come in with that Kyogre. I think I need to throw energy. I don't want to take any extra damage here. I know as long as I can get the fast move down before they reach a Roar of Time, we're in a good spot. Is this an Iron Head? If it is, we survive. If it's a Roar of Time, we lose. It is going to be just an Iron Head, and we get the Dragon Breath down, just barely taking out Palkia's arch nemesis there with that Dialga. GG's to our opponent. All right, getting into the next game, we're going to see the Palkia lead into yet another Palkia mirror. I hate this matchup. Let's see how it plays out. This time they are once again best buddied, and I am not, which means they will always win this CMP. This time I'm going to try to throw on CMP, see what's going to happen, and of course, I CMP, they CMP, they're not over farming, they're not calling the catch, and once again, we are in a bad spot where we have to shield first, and they're probably content to just no shield this, take shield advantage, and farm me down with something in the back that's going to be a bit tricky to deal with shields down. In comes their Necrozma. I can swap into my Landorus, though. I know at this point, this is a good spot to be in. I can probably deal with this pretty easily. In comes their Ho-Oh, though. Ho-Oh is going to be a very interesting Pokemon to see if I can get this bait off. We do bait them there. I have the ability to Stone Edge. I guess they just didn't want any part of that game. I feel like that game was still playable, but, you know, I'll take it. I guess they didn't want to play that matchup out. In comes the Ho-Oh for this next match, though. This is a great lead. Hopefully we can hold on to this matchup here. In comes, oh my goodness, a melmetal safe swap in a Landorus meta? You've got to be kidding me here. Another top left. That was back-to-back games, by the way. All right, getting into the next game here against a Necrozma. This one is a very interesting matchup, as we've seen. It has a lot of neutral play. As long as they're not running Outrage, we're not going to get one-shot. But if it is an Outrage user, it is a little bit tricky to deal with. We're going to go for the Aqua Tail, see what we can do. And as long as they don't have Outrage, Palkia does win the Zero Shield matchup. They're going to throw a move here. I'm going to no-shield it. It's always a bit of a risk. Let's see what's going to happen. Dark Pulse or Outrage. Luckily, this time it is a Dark Pulse. We haven't actually no-shielded an Outrage quite yet in a long time. I remember the first time I did that, I was just so surprised that this thing even had Outrage, but luckily this one is running Dark Pulse. We can get a shield advantage here, and now that we got that shield advantage, I think we're going to be in a good spot to set up our Landorus for a nice farm down. We would probably take a move on our Landorus, but I feel like this is probably a bit of a trap at this point, right? I think Landorus is going to be a weak Pokemon for the backline because they're already weak to Landorus in the lead. There's probably going to be a Palkia back there, maybe something else in the back that's also good against us. So I don't want to save or invest resources rather into Landorus if I can help it. In comes the Palkia though, the hard swap. I know at this point I can probably bank some energy here, maybe bank a Sandsear Storm and make it so I can catch a move on our Necrozma. If I can, then we're going to be in a good spot. I guess they don't throw energy, but we still banked up that move. This is fantastic to see. They are going to be in range of a Dark Pulse knocking them out. They get to yet another Aqua Tail against us here. I think at this point, I kind of have to shield something this game, so even though it's a debuffed Aqua Tail, I don't want to take too much damage on our Necrozma, so I'm going to overfarm as much as I can, go for this Dark Pulse, and at this point, it's going to come down to what their third Pokemon might be. There's a lot that could be in the back. I'm thinking a Landorus would be likely. Oh, it was an ABA Steel lineup. That is a very interesting thing to see here. Obviously, Steel is something that is a very strong typing in this meta, but Landorus is going to have a lot of play against this. If I can draw another shield, I have that Sandsear Storm loaded. I just have to make sure that they're not going to be able to make a catch against us. If a catch comes through, we are in a nightmare scenario. If we can land the Sandsear Storm, though, on the combo play, there's a chance I can win this game. We swap, we get the Sandsear Storm off, and this is going to knock out the Dialga. We didn't see the catch, and now there is just a low health Necrozma there. We can mudshot it down and take the matchup just barely against that team. This team, as I said, it's just my go-to Master League team. It's a very flexible team comp. It is a little bit tricky to deal with the other Palkia leads, but you have play against them, and honestly, if you do have the access to a Best Buddy Palkia Origin, I would definitely recommend that. The only reason I'm not using it is because I don't have the Best Buddy badge for it, but I think it is probably the best buddy, the best buddy that is to use in the Master League. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I stream Pokemon Go PvP nearly every day at twitch.tv/ItsAXN, so if you want to see this kind of content live, make sure to check me out there. Also, I'm going to upload a lot more to the channel, so if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. All right, well, thank you again for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.